Hello and welcome to another episode of Outbreak Gamers, and we are covering video game influencers on this series. And I'm very lucky to have with me today Mav. Mav, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, dude. Thank you for reaching out to me to do this. It's an honor. I love doing these kind of things, and saw you. I always see you hanging out too. So it's great to get to actually sit here and kind of meet you face to face. That's
Oh yeah,
awesome.
well I tell you, I think it's great that what you do, and I think more people ought to know about the influencers and what they do in the community. And we'll put this scroll up at the bottom and get us going. So what I've been basically doing is interviewing a few people that just kind of because you watch and it's like obviously you're more than just games, and you had to start somewhere. You didn't just wake up one day and be like, I'm going to be an influencer. And I'm just kind of curious, a lot of people are, as to how you got started, how you got things going. And of course you have some big shows that you do with a lot of great in the community, which is fantastic, and great opinions into and different types of shows, not just focused on gaming, which I like too. And then I know your wife does some shows with you too, so that's awesome. So Mavla, your show is Fun Speculation. How'd you come up with that name, first of all?
So at first, I told my wife, "It's like, you know what? I'm going to do this thing. It's going to be called Fun Speculation." She's like, What is that?" I was like, and then I got some flack even from people in the community about the name. But I've kind of stood behind it. For me, it's a name that stands behind something that I believe in that we all do all the time, right?
Mhm,
And that's kind of the meaning behind it. You can listen to all these shows, all these podcasts, all these podcasts I've been listening to for all these years.
mhm.
And what were we all doing? I mean, we don't know 100% what's going on behind the scenes.
Right.
We don't know what's led to these decisions, what's led to these things happening, what all of these things, and so we're speculating, right, all the
Yes.
time about the things that we love, about our passion, our hobbies. So that's where speculation comes from. And fun is like, there's a lot of negative out there, right?
Yes. Yep.
And I hate it. I honestly, like, I know hate is a negative word, but if
Right.
there's
Well.
anything I hate, it's negativity, right?
Right.
And it's out there in the media all the time. It's out there with games media as well. It's out there with gaming podcasts, out there with shows all the time. And I just really believe it's okay to find the joy in the things that you love, and it should be fun, right? We're
Yeah.
talking about video games, we're talking about movies, TV shows, all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
that's where the name Fun Speculation came from. I just kind of put those together, and that's what I want to focus on because that's what we're doing, right?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly,
all the time.
exactly. It makes sense. Speculating in a fun way, fun speculation. I like it.
Yeah,
I like it a
100%.
lot, and it covers a lot. So it's not just the gaming, which I think is good too.
100. That's
So
100%. That was another
yeah,
reason behind it. It leaves it open to where I can explore other passions besides just gaming.
right, right. I think I'm stuck in mine with gamers in the title, but that's
That's okay. You
okay.
got multiple shows you do, so that's good.
I do. That's right. With outbreakpodcast.com, you can. It's our kind of our hub to everything we
Yeah.
do. But and quick side note, like our biggest video that we've done to date was a wrestling video.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
that's
wrestling is hot. There's
exactly local wrestling. Yep.
there's a guy in the community that's like he started out kind of doing like Marvel and gaming stuff, and then he started posting a few wrestling videos, and his channel just blew up with
Yeah.
like covering WWE and all that kind of stuff. And now
Yeah.
he started his channel around the same time I did. And he just hit 10K like
Wow.
yesterday, and
That's
because he's
awesome.
focused all on wrestling now. It's pretty
Right.
crazy.
Right. Well, I mean, you're on your way. You're getting there, right? Where you at now?
Yeah,
Like
we just hit 2K. Last week, actually.
that's
So we're
fantastic.
almost at 2,100 now, so it's about 2,070 or so, and, we're really just having fun. I try never to really worry about the
Right.
numbers too much, and I see a
Right.
lot of people, like, make posts about, "Oh, numbers and, what gets numbers," and, it
Right.
sucks that these people are getting numbers and being this way, I'm doing this, and I'm not getting numbers, not all this stuff, and it's like, for me, I never wanted this to feel like a job.
Right.
And if I'm focusing on that kind of stuff as opposed to just what I wanna do, then at that point it becomes another job, right?
Right.
So the numbers will come if people find the value in it. I think,
Well,
right?
I really I think that, it's not gonna be too far off that you will get to what we would call a first big milestone. Well, I guess the first milestone is 1,000.
Oh, the first
That's
one for every
well, first
YouTuber,
milestone's 100, I
a
guess, because you
hundred.
can adjust your name. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
and then after that, it's 1,000. From 1,000, it's 10,000, and 10,000, it's
Yeah.
100,000. You get a nice little plaque put on your wall.
Right.
Right, Colt? Anyway, but that's okay. That's okay. But someday you'll get there. I really do have a feeling that because your gaming is broad, and you guys are funny. I mean, and there's sometimes you get into voices and stuff too, which is kind of cool. We'll get into more of that. So
Right.
so let's how did you get started into gaming in general?
Man, I was born into it really. I mean, my family was like not really big gamers, but we always had a console, right?
Right.
My dad, when I was a kid, was always the one that like had to get every gadget that he could, right?
Yeah.
So we were born when I was born. We had an television in the house already. Okay,
Nice.
so that was in I was born in '83, so we had an Intellivision, and my earliest memories of gaming are playing Burger Time, Snafu, Astro Smash, Frogabog, all of these Intellivision games. And as a little kid, Intellivision was actually really easy to play
Oh yeah.
because they had the little plastic sleeve, they had the buttons that had pictures on it, right,
Hmm.
and they had the little easy, big, huge thumb pad thingy. And so I played in television with my brother's sister. We kept it in the closet. We pulled it out of it, and then we hooked it up to the TV, and we'd play games. And then from there, it just grew. I already that cemented the fact at a very young age that I loved gaming.
Hmm.
And then me and my brother shared a room, so we had always had whatever the next console was at that point. And for him, it was a Sega Master System because he was older than me.
Hmm.
So that was my first like new system that I got to play on was the Sega Master System back in the day.
Hmm.
Double Dragon, and there was like a Safari game, R Type, and just lots of different stuff, and it just grew from
Great
there,
games,
man.
though, man.
I've
Great games.
always yeah, really great games, and I've always been into gaming, but like it really took a turn um right when I was around 18,
Hmm.
19 or so, and I started playing whenever Halo 2 came out, which was 2002 or 4, 2004, I guess. So at that point I was 21 actually already.
Hmm.
Wow. And Xbox Live was a huge factor because I'd always been more like social with my gaming, and playing with friends was always a big part of it. So
Hmm.
when Xbox Live was there, right, it just became more of a thing where I was playing games more than any other hobby at that point, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So
So that's how you got started then, I guess, huh? Your
yeah, man.
early part of gaming. That's cool. That's cool. So what kind of, I guess, what kind of jobs have you had in your you wake up one day. I know start off as some people start off as delivering papers, things like that. So
Right. Oh,
what got you to work, as it were?
well, I had a lot of jobs from like 16 to 18, 19. I was one of those kids that like got a job, retail, something, whatever,
Right.
worked in places like Service Merchandise, Fry's Electronics,
Cool.
Radio Shack, freaking Foley's, which is a department store. I mean, I had a Blockbuster, which was awesome. That was my favorite
Nice.
one because I
Oh
got to
yeah.
check out a game for free constantly, right? So that one was awesome. There was lots of different jobs. Worked at restaurants, but that was a teenager me, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
but first, when I really started getting into a career, I was actually 19, kind of right out of high school.
Hmm.
To kind of took some time after high school, but right out of high school, I was 19, and I started working for a construction company, roofing sales,
Hmm.
and that's what I've been doing ever since. So, I've become the manager for the market in our area several years ago, and that's kind of what I've been doing ever since. It's really the only thing I know besides
Right.
for work, career,
Mhm.
is construction, roofing sales and stuff like that. So,
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Is that something you still do to this day, or?
yeah, still do, and I will mainly work out of my office here now because I kind of run a lot of operations and ordering materials,
Mhm.
scheduling jobs, and dealing with customers back and forth over either over the phone or talking to the salesman, helping them out, and all those kind of things. So I
That's
sit here
awesome.
a lot and do that, and then go out in the field when I need to. But there's been a lot less of that since COVID.
Right, exactly. That's kinda changed a lot of people's,
Yeah.
I'm now work from home permanently, so,
Hmm.
so I understand that, and that's what made me kinda start getting into watching and following more, podcasters and more influencers.
Hmm.
And how I ran across you was when you started popping up slowly. You and Pong started showing up on Mr. Boomstick's one of his shows,
Hmm.
and then it's like, well, cool. Well, I like this guy. I like what he's, like his input and his his ideas when we're talking, on Boom Show. And then it's like, so I started checking out your channel. It's like, oh, this is really cool. So I guess how did you really get into the gaming community, kind of where, to where you are now?
Yeah. I've always been a gamer playing online a lot, but like it was just with my close circle of friends I developed from Xbox
Right.
Live over the years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when the like you kind of when the a pandemic started, right?
Hmm.
We have a lot of more free time. TV shows that we're used to watching also aren't showing up. The seasons get canceled or they stop airing. Sports went away. I'm a huge sports guy as well. In fact,
Yeah.
like growing up, like one thing I was always kind of pushed to do is do like sports radio because we're always at a family event or something. Somebody asked me a question about the Cowboys or the Mavericks or something, and I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't stop talking, right?
Right.
And they were like, "Hey, you should do like sports radio or something," because like I just stored useless information in my brain, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
really, really bad about remembering things that are actually important in life, right? But like, I could know what college like some athlete went to and what round they were drafted in, and you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. Like who's the sixth man on the Pistons? Like stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's always something that they had pushed me to do. And when we were during the pandemic and we're sitting here and I started watching more YouTube and I always had my number one passion is gaming, which my family never really understood that because I couldn't really carry a conversation with them about that. Right.
Right.
That they're none of them are really big into gaming. So it's like you bring up a conversation about gaming, it's like just glazed eyes and it's like, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Right.
I know that
Um,
feeling. Yes.
but so that's why they always thought sports, right? But when the pandemic happened, I started watching, YouTube more, right? And I
Hmm.
noticed I had discovered a couple of these podcasts that were led by just normal people instead of the ones I was used to listening to, like IGN's podcast, like Unlocked and
Right.
Beyond, and
Hmm.
like Easy Allies, the guys that came from Game Informer, they or GameTrailers.com, they formed a group called Easy Allies, and they had some great shows. And then I was listening to Gamertag Radio and all these things that have been around for a long time. And it didn't. I always kind of kicked around the idea like what could I do if I did something like that? And then when I discovered like, okay, there's a show like called RDX, and they get a big audience, and they're just sitting there, and they're just normal guys that you know create their own
Yeah.
content made a podcast. And I discovered Xbox Two with Rand and Jez, and I never watched a whole lot of YouTube, right? I
Hmm.
never really watched a whole lot of podcasts, and I never really watched streamers either.
Hmm.
Um, but I found that as like, okay, well, if somebody can do that and share their passion, like I want to try it. And the first hurdle is getting over your personal fear.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
a big thing about being on camera, shutting off,
Hmm.
being nervous, talking. The first thing you do is, you just get a mic and start playing around with it, do silly little bits and get comfortable with listening to yourself first,
Right. Yep. Hmm.
right? So once you get over the hurdle of like getting listening to yourself and then also sharing stuff with somebody. So the first person I would share things with is my wife, right?
Sure. Sure.
Then it's like, okay, now the fear is starting to melt away, and then you just kinda go for it,
Yeah.
right? And that's how I kinda got started, man. I started I wrote down a FS on my phone screen on a little art app, and I was like, "Okay, this is gonna be the brand I stand behind,
Hmm.
and I'm going to create a show about the thing I'm passionate about most." And the first thing I wanted to make a show about was Xbox because that's where I play all my games.
Right.
And I knew I would come across biased if I had a general gaming show.
Right.
Right? Like a lot of these media guys, they pretend to be like not biased towards the platform, but
Right.
it's obvious that they are with everything that they say.
Oh boy, is it.
Yeah, it very is. But they say
Yep.
I'm neutral, right? And
Yep.
I still love PlayStation, I love Nintendo, but I
Hmm.
spend 90% of my time playing on an Xbox. So
Yep.
inherently, it's gonna come through that I like Xbox the most. So I didn't try and hide behind like being neutral or anything like that. I'm just first show I'm gonna do is gonna be Xbox Ultimate, and I just started winging it, man. I didn't have any equipment. All I had was a video camera, so I set up my video camera next to me, and I just recorded, and I started by myself. So
Yeah.
that's how it started, man. If you go to the first episode of Xbox Ultimate, it's a lot different than it is today. Right?
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. You got to start somewhere. Is the
yeah.
really big thing I tell anybody that asks me. It's like you start somewhere. I
Yep.
mean, when I started, it was strictly we just did iTunes. We
Hmm.
didn't even do video. So we have a huge following on iTunes, which is crazy.
Right.
And then but yet our video channel, which we put more work into nowadays, and it's like, woo, 300 followers. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
you
it's
know?
funny too because like you see like Gamertag Radio, right? We're
Yeah.
just huge in my mind. I mean, like one of the original gaming podcasts, and
Yeah.
like Podcast Hall of Fame, Danny Pena, all these things. But then like they don't really get much traction on video stuff,
Yeah.
right? And their audience on audio is like massive. So it's not what cracking one doesn't guarantee success in the other. It's almost like for me, it's almost like two completely different audiences you're trying to reach to, and I don't. That's another thing is like I started trying to think about, well, how can you be successful on audio and on video, and I don't know if there's an answer. So you just gotta just
Keep
not worry
trying.
about it. Yeah,
Right.
just not
Exactly.
worry
Not
about it.
worry
Just
about it.
keep
Just
making stuff, and
do what you love, and just
yeah.
keep going and see what happens. Like our statistics, or stats, I should say, for iTunes. We had an episode that we did a couple of months ago, covering the shooting on the set with
Mhm.
Alec Baldwin, an
Right.
accidental shooting. And it's like the video is gotten, like 40, 50 views or whatever. And we had a good panel, and some people in the business that have been on movie sets, and the things that they had to go through.
Right.
But the iTunes, the download of that is still going strong. We have over 150,000 downloads on iTunes.
Wow.
And I'm like, cool. I guess it's hitting somebody on their feed where they like it. But yet you watch our episode that we put on about it, the same exact content, ooh, 50
Yeah.
views. Oh well, it's just a
Cracking
different thing.
social media and then cracking media in general is a hard thing to,
Yeah.
so that's something I never tried to think about. And when starting the channel, it was always more about like, okay, I'm just going to focus on building like something that I feel like will grow organically over time, right?
Hmm. Right.
And a lot of people are like, oh, we need the big numbers right now on this or that or this and that. And it's like, for me, like for us, like we don't have thousands of people watching us live, right? We
But they're
have
getting bigger. The audience is getting bigger.
yeah, but that's because everybody in there is like actually people that are there because they like content, they're having fun, and they're
Right.
engaged, right?
Hmm.
So, you can see a podcast airing and they may have like, 1,000 people concurrent or whatever, but they may
Right.
only be like 10 people in the chat,
Right.
right? And I really love the chat. I love the community
Hmm.
aspect of it. That's why I stream so much now. I like streaming all the time because I love seeing people in the chat and hanging out with me, and it actually makes playing the games more fun,
Yeah. Oh
right?
yeah. I mean,
So
you have like four shows, and then you also will just sometimes just be like, hey, we're playing this, and then
right,
you and your wife, Caitlin, just jump on and play.
yeah,
I'm sitting there like, what are you doing tonight? Said show, no, 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 I have to watch and say, oh, look, Mav and Caitlin are playing, and I'll sit and watch that, and like, I'm not even playing, and I'm watching, and wife's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
They're playing.
Yeah.
You know, and
It's
I tell you,
fun.
years ago, like my kids, both of them, you know, when I used to get home from school, I'd sit down in front of the TV and I would watch, like, you know, whatever was on, you know, like, oh, there's Ultraman or G-Force or, you know, these
Right.
cool shows, you know, or you know, and Sunday morning Abbott and Costello movies. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm old, but you know, those kind of things, you know. But to them, you know, well, hey, what do you watch? You know, or hey, there's a new show on, or there's a new movie, you know, coming out. Yeah, oh, I'm watching my, you know, favorite YouTuber and he's playing it. And I'm like, what? You know,
Yeah.
and then play and watch for hours. My son did a Twitch last night or night before last, and it was like, you know, and I looked at it later. I didn't get to watch because he plays when I'm asleep, and he does 6 hours, and I
Yep.
was like, wow, you know, and he had a blast, and he had a lot of people watching him and following him on Twitch. But I'm like, I couldn't do that. But it's
Yeah.
really neat that there's a market for everybody. You know what I mean? There's this
Yeah, for sure.
it's really cool. So with that, I don't mean to go off on me, but
Yeah,
the
sure.
you do the gaming a lot, which is fantastic. So how did you get started on these? I guess what's the thought behind each of your different shows? If you don't mind, let's kind of go over your different
Yeah.
shows and what they cover.
Well, so when like we said, when we started the channel, Fun Speculation, I wanted it to be broad because I wanted to really kind of encompass all of my passions because it's what I like talking about. It's like an outlet,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
So the first one was Xbox Ultimate, and over time, man, this community is just absolutely amazing. Like you mentioned, Mr. Boomstick, so super supportive. Other
Yep.
shows that I was able to be a part of as well before, like 4GQ TV with Italian Clowns, and
Right.
I mean, it just even like the guys, like we had Colt Eastwood on PM in the PM
I
last
watched
week.
that episode the other night. It was great.
Yeah, thanks, man. He was awesome on there. But Pong, that's one I like. He's taking the captain seat on that show, right?
Mhm.
Like, there's so much there's so many awesome people in this community that are willing to help, willing to give you tips on if you have like a technical question
Mhm.
or just at every aspect, and then the people that watch and give you comments and feedback, support and all these things. It's like absolutely amazing, and it's kind of helped evolve what our shows are, right?
Mhm.
Because of the community, and that's one thing I didn't anticipate happening. Right? I just when I originally started, I was like, okay, YouTube is a place to put Xbox Ultimate, which was something I recorded of myself. But over time, you kind of grow with the community because you start engaging, you start kind of putting your content out there, you start putting your thoughts out there on Twitter, and you start meeting all these different people. And
Mhm.
I started playing with some of these people, some of the gaming and stuff, and they become friends and like family and stuff. And it's pretty amazing,
Mhm.
right? So Xbox Ultimate grew to include a lot of people that just became great friends with, and so that show kind of, because it got so big with such a big panel as
Mhm.
well, it became something different than I ever originally even planned on, right?
Mhm.
I was originally planning on just a solo show that maybe would eventually maybe find somebody to be that second person or third, right?
Right.
But we have like 8 people on that show now, so it's massive and it can get crazy. But that's okay
It
because it has its own unique energy, right? For that.
right.
Um, but then I still wanted to have those like more serious discussions as well,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And there's nobody that I'd rather do that with than Pong
Yeah.
because I mean the we can bounce off each other really well, but also he is very knowledgeable and we share a lot of the same interests in gaming.
Mhm.
And one thing I always noticed about him, and he used to like hang out in our chats, right?
Mhm.
And which was crazy, but the one thing I always noticed about him is like me and him and see very similar like the future of gaming, and we are more of the same type of person that is hyped for the next thing,
Right.
not always like nitpicking everything apart, right?
Mhm.
And it's just we kind of clicked with that, and so we have a lot of conversations. We play games together all the time. We've been playing Rainbow Six Extraction a lot, so that's kind of how PM and the PM started. I was hated to even ask him because he was already doing a two-person show,
Right.
with our other buddy, Steel Rain, who's also very similar with his mindsets and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, "But, like, I gotta do it. I gotta we gotta see if he's willing to do it." So, but I think people would get sick of me just hosting every show on our channel, so I asked him if he
Yeah.
wanted to take the lead on that, and
Right.
he said, "Yeah." So he's kinda like the host of that show. Um, and then on, Fun Pop, that's again about, you know, sharing more than just gaming, right? Because
Right.
I see your movie posters behind you, right?
I got a bunch more too. My
Right,
daughter works in the movie theater.
we just watched Free Guy the other night,
It's
absolutely
fantastic.
awesome.
Yep.
I always loved movies. It's one of my favorite
Mhm.
things to do is go into the movies, and Marvel movies have just been amazing over the years. And
Oh,
a
yeah.
big MCU guy. I've always liked Star Wars, and these conversations. Fun Pop started because me and Psychonauts and 3-Bit were just playing games together,
Mhm.
and Wonder Woman 84 had come out,
Yeah.
and we were sitting there being like, "What the hell was that?" And so we're like in this like 2-hour discussion after a show, I think. And it's like, okay, this is I was like, guys, I've been wanting to do something for movies and TV shows and stuff, and this has got to be it, right? So it started with Psycho and 3-Bit. 3-Bit got busy and he had to go do some other stuff with his work for a while. He's back now, and then we added
Nice.
Jasper, who's absolutely awesome as well
Mhm.
and super knowledgeable. So, and then the last one is FSP, which is the show that is kinda like the more I wanted to have a more traditional, like, three-person type podcast that covers
Mhm.
all different platforms, right?
Right.
And some other guys that I really love in the community as well. Great guys as well with Key and Fuzzy. And, so that's where we kind of, like, how it started everything, and it's, I don't know what the future holds, that's the thing, and, I kind of do these things without, like, months and months of planning. It's like, "Hey, it hits me. I wanna do this. I'm gonna reach out to people and let's go." Right?
Right. Right.
That's kinda how I am. I'm on the fly kinda guy. So, and
Yeah.
that's how it happened, man.
Well, it's I tell you, your shows are really engaging. I do like it, and there's the show with the Grade Eight, pretty
Yeah,
much.
that's what we're calling it now.
It man, I mean, there's time. Obviously, you're talking about gaming, but there's
Right.
times when you guys rip on each other a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing brutal, but I mean, it's funny and it's playful, but there's some pretty hilarious stuff that breaks out on
Yeah.
that too, with you guys, your engagement to each other, and it shows that you guys respect and like playing together. So that's like I said, enjoy that
Yeah,
show
it's
a
like a
lot.
family. It really is. Like, everybody on there, like, they're great. And I think my once my wife agreed to start doing that with me, I knew
Mhm.
that this show was gonna go, like, in a different direction other than just a serious Xbox show, right?
Yep.
Because she's got that sense of humor and stuff, and she doesn't mind, like, ragging on me during the middle of a show in front of everybody, and it's great. That's how we are in real life too, just, like,
Right, right.
constantly.
Uh, Thanks, honey. Love you.
Yeah,
I trust me. I get that a lot. Yeah, I'm right there with you on that. So mine's usually at family functions and in front of people. But
yeah.
I'm just kidding. It
Well, she'll do the thing even, like, we're, like, going through the drive-through at Starbucks, right? And I'll just be
mhm.
sitting there, get the drinks, set it down, and the next thing I know, a straw wrapper's flying into my face, like, a hard with a hard tip on it,
Yeah.
and then she's sitting there recording it, like, and I'm like, "What the hell?" And then she posts it on social media, so she's just always living to rag on me and have
Yeah.
some fun.
Well, it's good that you guys can have fun.
Yeah,
So and that's going to something that like I said, is the show that you guys have done together. It makes it very, very entertaining. And then the PM and the PM, I really like how you guys get into the subject. I mean, yes, you had, I think it was your first guest, wasn't it, last week, I guess,
yeah,
or
because the
one
PM
of
and the
them.
PM was like, "Okay, let's just do a two-person show where we can really dive in and get all of our thoughts across." And, I've been trying to get Colt on Xbox Ultimate for a while,
Mhm.
but it's Friday nights aren't good for him, right?
Right.
So, we've had other great guest on Xbox Ultimate, but like it's like, okay, man, like I know you can't do Friday nights because it's not good. If you're available for any other show, and he's like, yeah, let's do Thursday with you and Pong. I was like, okay, let's do it, man. Heck yeah. So he's our first guest for that show. I think it went well. Like, so
I
we
did.
probably are going to reach out to some more people and see, about doing some more guests in the future on that as well. So,
Well, but with even with just you and Pong, it's very entertaining. People should definitely tune into that,
I
like and
appreciate
subscribe
that.
to your channel, Fun Speculation. Make sure you do that, and check it out because man, you guys cover a lot of content, very funny. Never mean, but and there's times when certain things have come up on a show that I'm like, I don't really know if they know what you're talking about on that one because it's everybody's got their own opinions. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Hmm.
And that's great, and that's where but it's never and never that I've seen has ever been mean or anything like that. So
Yeah.
it's really cool that you guys can get into it like you do. So I guess with that, let's kind of let's see. I guess last couple of weeks some big things happened in gaming and
Oh
kind of
yeah.
what your thoughts are about the direction that you think maybe gaming might be going.
Huge things. I'm guessing you're referring to the huge $70 billion dropped by Microsoft to acquire Activision Blizzard.
Is that how much it was? Yeah,
70
I had
billion, yeah, just a little bit
that.
of money,
Yeah, pocket change.
Um, I mean, I a lot of there's been a lot of back and forth on this
Yeah,
already. You've had some big media people coming out like, "Oh, I'm really worried about this," and if this was Microsoft back in 2013, 14, and they made this move all of a sudden out of nowhere, like, okay, that's weird, right? And
right,
where are they going with this? Um, but it's not. I think that a lot of the naysayers about where gaming is going are kind of like stuck in like this nostalgiaville, right? A lot of times because gaming's always been like this, right? It's
right.
always been like this. Don't take it, don't change it, right? But it's also kind of like that ship has sailed. The future's already been written with
Yep.
technology, right? So technology is the one thing that keeps on improving. And as technology keeps improving, then media entertainment are going to come along for that ride, you know?
Hmm.
And Microsoft is the big daddy of the bunch that's involved in gaming, right? They really
Right.
know what they're doing with gaming as well as they are that big tech giant. So that's obviously for me where the biggest influence is going to come from. And when you see what they're doing with the cloud and all this stuff and where the future's headed, it just makes a lot of sense that they would go out and get some splurges and stuff like that to help add content. Um,
Yeah.
so I think that a lot of it is just about the fear of losing that model, the traditional model that we've all lost. But then I look at the way things are today, and I'm like, man, which would I rather have? You know,
Right.
would I rather have Game Pass with all of these games coming out day one and be able to play them on my PC, my Xbox, my mobile device, and have tons of content to play, or would I rather have to pay $60 for every game that's going to come out, right?
Or 70.
Or 70, which a lot
Yeah.
of people don't realize. It's also limiting the amount of games that can release because there's only a certain amount of money that people are going to be willing to spend on content.
Right.
So when you're shelled into a box ecosystem with a certain amount of players, and then you also have um, all these different AAA publishers making all these games for it, the sales limit is restricted based on the amount of the audience, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
If you lower the barrier and lower the barrier of entry for an audience, you're going to grow an audience. You're going to grow a bigger audience. So, like, if you have a 14.99 as opposed to $70, it's going to sell usually more, right? And
Hmm.
especially, okay, now you got 14.99, you got 500 games. So when I see this stuff happen with Activision Blizzard, for me, it's more about this Activision Blizzard is now going to enter the next generation of the future of gaming. right?
Right.
Being pushed by Microsoft. And I think just like with a lot of things, PlayStation has been uh, almost like a generation behind with some like of the services side. They've always
Mhm.
been really great with the games, right? But
Mhm.
services side, they like PS3 got PlayStation Network, right? Where Xbox had Xbox Live on the original Xbox, right?
Yep.
Party Chat was on PS4, wasn't on PS3. Xbox had it since the 360
Yep.
launch, right? All,
Yep.
all of these things, like they've kind of been like with pushing technology as far as services go, a generation behind, but they've always had really good hardware, right?
Right.
And the
Mhm.
hardware is going to become less and less um, important in the future. So
Right.
they're they're got to figure out the services, and I think that's we're going to see that next, and it's going to be interesting to see how people react to it. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
it's been interesting, dude. It's like I think about the future of all this stuff a lot because I always live for the hype of what's next, and
Right.
I
Right.
think a lot of people live in the here and now and the past, right?
Yeah.
And only they ignore all these facts about stuff that's coming, right? When they're looking at these things, and for me,
Yeah.
it's a great thing, dude. I don't know what do you think?
Oh, I'm right there with you, man. I I was an Xbox Live beta tester,
Yeah,
way back before it was, out to the public. Even a lot of the GameStop managers, were able to get in that program.
remember
There you
that?
go. There you go.
Yeah.
And loved it, man. It was cool and fun. It's like, oh, this is going to be great. But from where it was then to where it is now, it's so much more growth and potential for the future. Even, I mean, there's talks that at some point you may not even have to have, you just have a TV and a controller, and that's one of the things that they're
Yeah.
shooting toward. Phil said that that's one of the things, and maybe even, I'm sure they're in the works for a streaming stick,
Mhm.
type thing, which would be fantastic. I think it's an easy way, to get in to a lot of things. When I bought my Xbox Series X, I didn't go in and pay $500. I went, GameStop.com, and I did the all access, and I have not regretted that at all because I didn't pay any more money. I'm still, and basically I'm making a monthly payment, which includes a subscription to Game Pass. Which, to be honest, if I walked in and bought a system, I probably wouldn't have bought Game Pass just because I just really didn't know much about it at the time. But then
Mhm.
now that I have it, there's no way I can live without it. I mean, there's
Oh yeah.
over 400 games, almost 500 games available at any time, and then plus I can download them on my PC. I've played them on a phone, tablet. It's, got logged into a computer. It's really, it's amazing that, I mean, it may not be as good on your computer or your tablet as far as, I shouldn't say not a computer, but I mean as far as a browser
Yeah.
playing as it is if you're, playing with that, but not every game needs to be. You know,
That's
there's a
true.
lot of great games that look really good, at a lower resolution, that are enjoyable and fun, and that's the kind of games that my wife likes to play. I can't tell you how many times I'm like, how much did you spend on this phone game? And she's like, just a little bit. I'll give you $47 this month.
Right.
Trying to get more things, and I'm like, but it's free to play. Doesn't look like it.
Yeah. I
So
think a lot of people are like again like it's oh, well, streaming isn't great, so it's never going to be anything. Well, the fact that we can even do it in general is amazing to me.
exactly.
So if you would have told me 10 years ago that I would just be able to play any game from a service called Game Pass on my phone anywhere I am that's
Yeah.
has like new games launching day one, all this stuff, I'd be like, oh no, it's not gonna happen. Right. So people like that's just 10 years ago. That think 2011, what were games
Hmm.
like then? Or 2012, what were games like then? What was the
Right.
situation like then? Now you gotta put yourself what was the internet like back then? Like what did we have? 20 megabit per second was like really great, you know?
Right.
Okay, so if we're looking at 10 years from now, is that hurdle still going to be there to where cloud gaming is not equivalent to console?
Yeah.
Who knows? We don't know that yet. Right now, the easy answer is that, you know, native hardware is always gonna be the best, right?
Right.
But at some point, that may change. At some point, it may actually change. If they get the streaming technology to where there's no latency and you get a crystal clear image and it's running on more powerful hardware behind the scenes than you can afford to have in your own house,
Right.
then it may shift, right? We've already seen with streaming services like Netflix and all these things, Disney Plus now, the quality is so much better than it used to be. I mean, we get HDR, 4K, you
Yep.
know, all of these things like are great. So I'm thinking about, all right, the future, what is it going to be like? And it's impossible to think and grasp exactly what's going to happen, right? And it happens fast. It doesn't seem like it because we're always in the news of what's next, what's next, what's next, right? But
Right.
if you take a sample size and look at how things have changed in a 10-year period, it's always dramatic. It's always
Very.
dramatic shift, right? So I think this next 10 years is going to be the most dramatic shift we've ever seen with tech in the gaming space, as well as media and entertainment in general. So Microsoft's getting in the forefront of it. They're trying to
Hmm.
make sure that they're, um, you know, there, and I think a lot of people are just too focused on the console war,
Right.
Xbox versus PlayStation. It's not about that,
Right.
you
Mm-mm.
know. It goes way beyond that at all, right? So
Hmm.
that's the interesting thing, and when I hear these guys making these making these posts or see all these podcasts and stuff, and they're just bringing up all these like really irrelevant things
Yep.
constantly. It's like, man, you're just missing the boat. You're missing the point of all of this, and it's with big games media too. It's just like a
Right.
lot of people, for me, just they don't think enough about what's to come. You know?
Yep. Yeah. It's. I agree with you 100% on that. And there's a lot of people that they don't. I don't know. They fear the change, or they just. Um, I don't know. When if you look, if you step back, I mean, Xbox clearly has made. It wasn't really at the beginning of the year, but toward the middle of the year, and from like Flight Simulator release on is when it really started snowballing to them really getting a good foothold, a really good, okay, cool, they got some really big games coming
Yeah.
out, and day and date. Those are things I really didn't think about before. I mean, there is lots of games. I mean, in Flight Simulator is one. I think it's cool. Would I have ever bought it personally? No, honestly, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have. I wouldn't have purchased it. But since it was free, I've played the hell out of it. And
Mhm.
well, again, I'm waiting for helicopters. That'd be cool.
Yeah. And there's racing, and all this stuff coming, and Top Gun and all these things.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, that was one of the most fun streams I had is actually on the launch day of Flight Sim.
yeah.
Because I didn't ever anticipate having fun playing that game. I was like, "This is gonna
Hmm.
be a technical marvel. I just wanna see how it looks on my console," right? I played
Right.
it, and that stream was insane. Um,
Mhm.
I was having a blast. I mean, we were flying into storms, like, I pulled the Sully, I landed in the ocean, right? Like, in the
Cool.
water. I almost ran into a building and, like, barely got over the roof line with my pulling my wheels up. It's the
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
crazy stuff, man. Like, I remember that stream still because it was a blast.
yeah. It is, and it was a lot of fun, and like I said, and I know the Top Gun movie pushback is pushback the release of that because they
Yeah.
do want to time it together. But we know it is coming,
Mhm.
and when that does happen, that update that's going to be fantastic. And they say there is helicopters coming too.
Yeah.
I just want to land in my backyard. I don't know why. I just think it'd be cool. So
It's a
but
crazy cool game, man. It really
yeah, it
is.
is. It is buzzing Devil's Tower. That never gets old. I'm just saying that right now. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, and then like Forza. I mean, I love racing games, but I really got into Forza because it was there and it was available. I didn't have to make an extra it was included, and I love it. It's
Yeah.
fantastic, and then the numbers are through the roof on the game. And Halo, I'm always a big Halo guy, but when I got to play Halo Not just a multiplayer, excuse me, but the single player. And yes, I do love co-op, and it is coming, and I'm gonna play it all again when co-op comes. But man, just to get in there again, and the changes, the things that they've made to grow that franchise, I'm like, and I was like, first time I played, I was like, oh my god, this
Mhm.
is gaming. Because the first Halo was big on me. We used to do the whole
Yeah.
LAN party things,
Mhm.
8 Xboxes and 20 something
Wires
screens.
everywhere. Yeah.
Exactly. The whole house for the whole weekend. Pizza guy, delivering again because we're all like playing and having a blast. But it's just those kind of things were a blast and fun to do, and it was great in gaming then, and now the experiences and things are like I said, there's so many variety and choices. My daughter plays a totally different set of games than I do, but there's a few we play together. My son, same thing.
Mhm.
He'll play Halo with me. It's cool. I love that. But then he's off on Monster Hunter for 6 hours.
Right.
It's cool. I can't play them all, but I do enjoy them. I don't play it like I used to, but I still play a lot, and I love it. It's fun, and the community is so much more richer now. I think with like the shows like yours that really get into and delve and things you may have played. There was something that Caitlin played a couple of weeks ago, and popped up that she was playing something on Twitch or something, and I'd never heard of the game. The
Probably
house
House
sim,
Flipper. Yeah, House
house
Flipper.
flipper.
Yeah.
Yeah, never. I watched almost the whole time she was playing. Like, that's really cool. That looks like
Yeah, she
fun.
loves that game. Yeah.
And I still haven't downloaded it yet, but I will eventually. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like never even thought about that game or never even
Yeah.
would have tried it, and now it's like that's cool. It would look like it's fun to play, and if you have fun, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. 100%, man. Exactly. It's gaming, right?
Yep.
We should be having fun with it instead of sitting there complaining about it constantly,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yep. There's definitely people out there that that just for some reason, and I think some of it even is like they may not even really care. They just like the fact that they can piss people off, and they
Oh,
like the fact that the reaction they get, and they're like, ha, and they'll get a ton of views or haters, and then there'll be other people that go in and they'll make
yeah.
videos of how stupid they are. Sorry,
Well,
I
something
said
I've learned since starting this, right,
hmm
is that there's a lot of content creators out there,
hmm
and there's a lot of podcasters and things that,
hmm
they are in it just to make the content, and they
Right.
don't really have the passion for what they're speaking on, right?
Right.
And a lot of the times they're just trying to ask the questions or drive the conversation into what they know is going to create the most drama
Mhm.
and heated debate. So you get the chat going after everybody, going crazy. Then they get they get the panel, fired up and more energy, right?
Mhm.
And it creates an environment that's for a lot of people very enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
For me, it's not. And because I see through it, and it's just constant negativity, constant nitpicky, asking questions based on unfactual clickbait type stuff. That's like also false narratives are pushed a lot in these kind of
Right.
things, and it's meant to piss people off, like you said, and that's the purpose of it because they know that's what it's going to get them in engagement and traffic. The same is
Yep.
the same tactic that trolls use on Twitter and stuff when they make a post that they know everybody knows it's completely bogus, right?
Yep.
But and they do too, right? And
Right.
but they like when people like will quote tweet, quote tweet and retweet this stuff, right? And at them and all this stuff because it gains them popularity, right?
Yeah.
It
They
gains them
love
an
poking the
audience.
bear.
That's the one thing if I could say anything about what I don't like about the gaming community, it's that aspect of people taking advantage of it for their gain,
Right.
and manipulating people that don't know any better, right? Because a lot of these creators out there know that the stuff that they're saying is completely bogus. Um, it's very disingenuous what they're doing to create the audience. They're doing it more for entertainment purposes, but entertainment purposes by creating negativity is not doing anything positive for the world. And in fact,
Right.
you're just creating a negative uh, force out there that they don't really think about or have any kind of um, feelings towards. It's just like, hey, it's their audience, so that's all they care about, right?
Right.
And you see that ripple effect go through all of the community, right?
Yep.
And so I'm just really against that. So there's certain creators and certain shows that I just refuse to engage with and watch.
Right.
I don't talk to any of them, and it's good because they stay away from me because I don't even think they know who I am. I don't even show up. I don't really talk to them. So
Sure. Sure.
just I kinda tend to mute that stuff out of my life,
Right.
right?
Right. I tell you, there was a show last week, Dealer Gaming. His
Yeah.
show
Uh-huh.
was I believe it was RDX.
Yep.
I think the
Mhm.
and it's a great show, and there was and Fonzarelli was on there too, and they had this. I guess a lot of people. It's like the Bethesda deal. It's like took a lot of people a long time to realize that this game is gonna be an exclusive. That's
Yeah.
why they spend all that money, you know.
Right.
And one of the big things going around right now is Call of Duty gonna be an exclusive,
Right.
and it's like I think there's possibility that that they're the the ongoing one was it War or
Warzone.
something
Yeah,
Warzone.
Warzone.
How
Yeah.
bad till I play that game. Sorry, but that's a possibility that could continue to stay multiplat.
Yeah, that
But
one
I
will for sure,
and I think
Warzone.
that the other ones aren't. But man, they just got on each other back and forth, and it was like as soon as they finally got to the point where it's like you thought, okay, it's all cute, and then they kind of restarted it again. That
Yeah.
was fun. They weren't really being mean to each other, but they were just
Yeah.
like, mark my words, wait till it happens. And that's one of the things you're really
Yeah.
going to have to do is wait until to find out when the deal is done. And the deal may not be as far off completion as people think. It could take as long as next year, but it actually could be finished within 6 months. It really can be. It's just a matter of how things go and what obstacles they run across.
Right. Yeah, I think, they're hoping to have it done by the end of the fiscal year, I guess, so it goes to
Hmm.
June of 2023,
Right.
so that's like they're hoping to have it done before then, which means that it could happen anytime before then, really.
Right.
So anytime between, I think, July this year and June of next year, at some point, it'll be complete. Most likely because of the size of it, I think it'll probably take towards the longer
Right.
aspect of it, based on some of the people I've spoken to that are
Hmm.
smarter than I am about this stuff. And I think that as far as it being exclusive, I don't know. Warzone's gonna stay multi-plat, for sure.
Makes
I
sense.
Yeah, I mean, they already have a built-in audience that's just there. And there's no, like, purchasing a new game to access it, right? It's just there. It's gonna
Yep.
stay existing, kinda like Elder Scrolls Online, right?
Yep.
And that kinda stuff, right? So, but as far as after 2023, will the new Call of Duties be exclusive on Xbox? I think if you were to ask me right now and make me force me to make a decision, I would say yes.
Yeah.
But I think there's also a good chance they could end up still going multi-plat, depending on the negotiations between PlayStation, Sony, and Microsoft, because this is gonna
Right.
be uncharted territory,
Yep.
right, for all the companies involved. And it's like, what goes on in that negotiation room about getting that game on their system and their platform? Is there a different cut of revenue sharing, right? Are
Right.
they gonna take, drop their fees for their storefront? Is there,
Hmm.
how are they gonna handle microtransactions? And all these things go into those decisions, and I
Yeah.
think that, it is gonna weigh on PlayStation heavy to make those decisions, so they're gonna make some decisions themselves right now. Are they willing to make some concessions with that kinda stuff potentially in the
Right.
future, or do they wanna try and focus on building their own new brand? that they can sell and free up and invest more in gaming themselves, which could benefit PlayStation gamers greatly. So
Right,
we'll see.
right, and they have a lot of good franchises they could tap into. SOCOM and
Yep,
Killzone and, Resistance. I mean, there's some good stuff out there that they've done,
yep.
but
They just better get started now.
right,
Yeah,
right, and who knows that they're not, They obviously, I think a lot of people were, quote, unquote, "blindsided," but that doesn't mean they can't pivot and jump on things,
yeah,
you
and
know?
they made a lot of good smaller acquisitions to help bolster what they're trying to do, right? So,
Yep.
where Xbox is buying the bigger things, they're making these little strategic moves, right? That are helping well, infrastructure for Spartacus, I believe, as well,
Mhm.
because it's going to take more porting,
Yeah.
PC as well, I think, and it's also going to have you're going to have more um, cloud-based gaming stuff going on. So I think they're making strides with some of the acquisitions they made to that aspect. And then also they've got some new studios like Blue Point is going to be making an original game,
Yeah.
right? So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. There's a lot of great things coming from both companies, so it's going to be a great generation regardless.
I think so. I think so too. I agree with you on that. I mean, I've got a PlayStation 5. I love playing it, and
Yeah,
Ghost of Tsushima is one of the best games I've played in a long time. I do all stealth stuff. I don't, oh,
yeah,
be a samurai. But screw that. I'm stealth boy. I'm I'm hiding
yeah,
in the bushes. I'm sneak killing everybody one at a time. I love that. It's a great game. I wish something like that. There was more games that are like that. And I know there are a few, and maybe with this new, was it Splinter Cell? That's they're
yeah,
working on. Maybe, maybe some more stealth kills. We're in the. I just hope they don't lock it down on one system. I want that to be everywhere. So,
yeah, yeah. I'm sure that one will be everywhere. Probably. We got
yeah.
Ubisoft
Like
Plus coming to
hopefully
Xbox.
we hope so. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So that's right. Ubisoft definitely, which is interesting how they're doing it.
yeah,
So we'll just kind of see. It depends on what they'll actually offer, like what the package is, what the cost is,
yeah,
as to whether pony up for it, as it were. You know,
for sure.
I
Yeah,
kind of
I'm
like
not.
how EA was
I'm not
just kind of
just
dropped in.
paying $15 a month for only Ubisoft games.
Right.
And so it's got to be some concession on the dollar amount there, or an add on or something to Game Pass is something. They got to figure something out.
Right. And if it's something, a new game coming out, maybe I do pay for a couple of months to play that new game and then
Yeah, and
see
then
ya.
ditch it.
Mm,
Right.
right. Then cancel it. You never know. So, well, let's kind of wrap things up a little bit. Again, thank you so much for being on here today. But I kind of want to kind of end things with kind of like what's I guess what's your favorite game franchise that you've ever played ever? I mean, like for either from a little kid or currently or whatever, that's like, man, I love it. Can't live without this game or franchise.
Halo.
Halo, yeah.
Yeah. As like you, my friends introduced me to it when I was 18, I think.
Hmm.
Halo CE, and then you know, Halo 2 launched it to another level when Xbox Live came out, and me and my wife loves it too, right? So,
Nice.
Halo's just 100% favorite franchise. Nothing ever going to come close. Um,
Right.
but if there was something that could come close, that is potentially second, it's Splinter Cell,
Yeah.
right? I love Splinter Cell. Always have. Love all the games.
I
So I'm
definitely look
super
forward to
glad it's
this new
coming
one.
back.
Yeah. And if they put the high end graphics and some of the new effects and things that they can do and animations and stuff like that that's available to them now, man, that game could really look wicked.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Man. Yeah, so much like playing a movie is what I'm thinking. That would be awesome. But I'm with you on the Halo, man. I'd be glad when like maps like Blood Gulch and Sidewinder come back to the new one. I would love that.
There's gonna be a
So
lot. There's gonna be a lot coming out for that game over the next several years.
yeah, yeah, hell yeah. It's always some good stuff to look forward to. And with Game Pass, it's all included. Yay! Gotta love that. Last question I'll get to is what is the game you are most looking forward to? It's not out yet. It's something in the future that you're like, I gotta play this day one. What's your big one that you're looking forward to?
Well, the one that is coming sooner is Starfield,
Yeah. Yep.
right? I've been waiting for Todd Howard and Bethesda Game Studios' next big single player RPG for a long time.
Right.
And this is, I'm not as big into Fallout as I was into Elder Scrolls, but I really
Hmm.
do like space, like sci-fi games. So
Right.
to have one of their games be that type of game is like it could be a potential dream game, right?
Right.
So I'm really looking forward to that. And then after that, Elder Scrolls, which is going to be ways off because that's going to be kicked off
Right.
after Starfield. But yeah, I love those big Bethesda single player RPGs. Just some of my favorite games out there.
I'm with you. There's so much good stuff coming. I'm
Yep.
really looking forward to that. Mav, thank you again so much for being a part of this podcast, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do it. And I want to make sure that everybody knows how to how to find you and what shows you're got, what time they're on, and everything. So if you don't mind, let everybody know, and I'll put the link to your channel in the show notes and everything too. So.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. And thanks for having me. This was a blast.
You're welcome, man. Thank you. Pleasure was
It's
mine.
yeah, great meeting you face to face and having a discussion about games and stuff. Yeah, that's what I love. That's what I
Yeah.
love doing the most, man. Um, All right. So if you want to check out our content, follow me on Twitter at Fun Speculation, where you can see updates and some of my stupid random thoughts about whatever. But yeah, I'll usually post on there when I'm going live to play a game. Next like game we're playing live for a launch stream is Dying Light 2. So that's we're gonna be doing that on I think Wednesday. So we're excited about that one. But for our regular shows, we got Fun Pop is coming on Wednesday, and that's well, actually, maybe not. We'll see. I don't know how I'm going to do both. We may have to move Fun Pop forward because I want to play Dying Light 2 right when I'm at first available to. So we'll figure that out. But Wednesdays usually at 7 p.m. Eastern time is Fun Pop, where we talk about movies, TV shows, um, games, and more. And then
Hmm.
Thursday is PM in the PM with my buddy Pong Soul,
Great
and
show.
we deep dive. We do this is more usually a pick a couple topics and we kind of really deep dive and have a bigger discussion, right? A lot of
Yeah.
industry type talk and stuff as well. So stay tuned for that. That's on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern as well. And then Fridays is the show that started our channel off is Xbox Ultimate Podcast. We have a huge panel on there, and we just have a
Huge.
lot of fun.
Yep.
We have a blast talking games. We cover topics, but also sometimes we might start talking about chicken nuggets. You never know what's going to happen. Um,
Yep.
and then Saturday is Fun Speculation Podcast with two amazing guys, Fuzzy Belvedere, who's super knowledgeable, and
Hmm.
Gaming Key, one of the nicest people I have met in this community. Great content creator as well. And so that's at 6 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, where we talk about all the consoles, all more of a wide variety of topics with gaming on that
Hmm.
show. So come check us out. And again, man, this is great. Love seeing your content you're gonna be putting out there. I'm gonna start checking out a lot of stuff you're putting out there, dude, because
Thank you,
you do a good
sir.
job with it. And
Appreciate that.
looking forward to checking this out when it goes live. We'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see.
it'll be on a Wednesday.
Yeah, right on.
Well,
Nice.
I also wanted to make sure everybody knows that the best way not to miss Fun Speculation is to go to the YouTube channel, put in Fun Speculation, and you'll see it pop right up. Click right on it. Make sure you subscribe to their channel. Hit the bell icon. That way you're notified when everything comes out. That way, if there is a special, because you've done a few jump on shows like, hey, let's talk about this now. This is just
Yeah,
hitting,
I did that on
you know.
Friday.
And that's the way to do it, man. Is to hit that bell icon. That way they're notified and know when you guys are doing things. Plus, you guys are on Twitter, right, as well.
Yep, Twitter's Fun Speculation, YouTube Fun Speculation, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. But on those, you got to look for the show name usually, right?
Right.
So it's going to be Xbox Ultimate, PM in the PM,
Hmm.
FSP, Fun Pop on the audio platforms.
Make sure you subscribe to all those as well.
Yeah,
Mav,
everywhere.
again, thank you so much for being here. And guys, if you don't mind, check us out at outbreakpodcast.com. You can click on the Outbreak Gamers tab to see what's coming up and who some of our guests are and what guests are coming. And guests we've had on in the past. They're all going to be great interviews because, like I said, this content, this community is fantastic. Mav, thanks again. I really appreciate you being here. And thanks everybody for watching, and like and subscribe, and tell your friends to come watch us. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you being here on
Yeah.
Outbreak Gamers.